What is up, guys? It's your boy GRC, number two today. I've been trying to practice the night streaming. Not that it's any different, but I'm trying to be more active mentally at night. And Jack loves coming on here. And I have a few questions about, well, all the news I was reading today. And then I was thinking, who can I talk to today? And then early in the morning when I was studying, Jack made a tweet that I was just scrolling by, and he said something along the lines of he wants to or is excited or is just thinking about building on Pulse Chain. And I respect Jack a lot. And I also want to build build on Pulse Chain. Of course, who wouldn't? I mean, if you do this stuff, it's fun. So I'm going to do the cool ass new transition. And then we're just going to get right into Jack. No song until the end. I'm not doing a crypto in the evening song until the end. It's too long. And I love the transition, and we're just going to get right into it.
Hey, how's it going?
Jack, we're like BFFs now.
Absolutely. Love
Yeah.
your evening intro. It looks great. It's pretty quick.
Thank you.
Like this warm and fuzzy feeling, like it's like I'm entering your cabana for that you Airbnb for vacation.
This feels like more than my Airbnb. It feels like my life now. Like, I stream a lot, but I take it really seriously, and I just tell people I take it seriously. So I spend a lot of time looking at videos, looking at SEO stuff, seeing how other people do stuff. Like, that's how I spend most of my time. Like, I just want to see how people are effective, and I just watch. It's just not hard, but I want to stay on track somewhat. So some stuff came up today with Coinbase securities, and you might not have read all of this stuff because it all was like popping up this morning. And so I wanted to get a little bit of your take on that kind of stuff. But first, I wanted to start out with that tweet you did this morning where you were mentioning building on Pulse Chain. I think right now, if you built literally a shitcoin meme on Pulse Chain, everyone would give them your money. It just puts people in a weird position. Not you necessarily, but like maybe someone else that's new, maybe had never found money before, maybe had never had a great job before, but they get on YouTube and people are like, I want to give you money for nothing. And it's like a weird dynamic, but I want to know what you were thinking first about, like, what were you thinking about building specifically? And like, what do you think you could add? And if you were to add something, what would the field would be in, or the genre?
Yeah, so really good question, and it really came up spontaneously. So it's a day after my birthday, so I just turned 48, and I thought, can I tweet something intelligent on the first day of my, 48th or 49th year that started? And I figured, hey, a lot of people have been asking, like, what am I going to build? Will I build anything? Right. And I kind of spend about an hour in the morning thinking, what what is inspirational to me? And what's inspirational to me is open source. So I started getting into computer science literally with Linux, and Linux was open source. And I always thought, what can possibly motivate somebody just to build something and just give it out for free, right? And that was literally 30 years ago. And that's
When
kind
was the first example of that you saw in anything? Just the concept.
of, what was the first example?
Like when you saw that somebody was like maybe airdropping something or just giving something to someone for free in a business model.
Well, that was Linux, right? So Linux. So
Yeah.
basically, free. So when I was 18 and Linux came out, I didn't have any money. I worked 3 jobs. I was flipping burgers. I was washing cars, and I was doing homework. That was like my life in a nutshell. And I didn't have the cash to buy even Windows operating system, or let alone buy a computer that's good. So most of my computers were crap. And the crap computer that I had, I thought, how can I make it better? Like somehow, like what can there be? And I didn't have the money for the new Windows that came out. I think I had Windows 3.0 and 3.1 came out. It was supposed to be better. And so I went to a friend's house and he was playing with something that was like really different. And he told me that this is a free version of a Unix operating system that's available to download for free. So I put it on my computer, downloaded 11 disks, installed it, and just fell in love with the fact that I can run free operating system and do pretty much everything that I could do at school.
Did you feel like you could do something cool because you felt like other people didn't have the resources or knowledge to do so? Like the average person like would have no idea what you were doing?
Actually, that didn't enter my mind. I just wanted to build something interesting, right? And I couldn't really build it on Windows because the compilers would cost so much money, and everything was commercial. So, given that the resources were scarce, I felt like somebody did really a great job to produce an operating system that actually works and doesn't look like crap.
Yeah.
And it's also felt a little bit faster.
It's so interesting how all this thing how this stuff has evolved, but nothing's changed that much, right? Like business models are always business models, and you just change the technology kind of just changes as you go forward, it seems like. And I have to learn all this shit in hindsight because I didn't experience any of it. Like I experienced none of this stuff. When I was in school, I had Instagram, I had Facebook, middle school. You know what I mean? Like I started on Instagram when it was just starting. I remember I was in middle school. Everyone loved it. It was incredible. So like I have to do a lot of my thinking in hindsight. And that's why I love having you on so much, because it's like that stuff is right in the forefront of your brain. A lot of those early things. There's not too many people that know, there was a period there where a lot of people that were there don't talk about it anymore, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so I installed Linux, and you're actually right. I mean, a year just hacking Linux, I was able to get a consulting job that no one else could do, and I was making big $25 an hour.
That's a
And then,
lot as fuck back then. I
and
mean,
then I
come on. That's what I was making when I was 21 climbing towers.
and so I found out that the consulting agency that hired me actually charged the client $75 an hour.
Ah, they're
And I'm like,
rugging you.
holy crap! I'm fixing their email. It was like Postmail or something, I forget, or SMTP server. Something was broken on their dial-up Linux server box that was like fetching emails over dial-up. It was like before the internet, like really. And those guys, they were charging $75. I accidentally like somehow got the document, and I'm like, holy crap, I could make 3 times more if I just work for myself. And I thought, okay, well, definitely knowing Linux and how it works on the server level technology, that's like my ticket to amazing tech career moving forward. And that was 1991, actually 91. So
I was just a twinkle in my father's eye, as he would say. That's what I wasn't a 94 baby.
nice.
So I'm gonna pull up something and read it, and then I want to transition into, well, did we ever talk about, we never even talked about what you specifically would love to do if you were just building and you could do whatever you wanted.
Oh, that's a great question. Well,
Obviously
so
some things have like work limits, but let's kind of move those aside for now, and we'll just like see what you would like to do if you were like going all out.
yeah, I would say it should be free, and I definitely will be on blockchain. And what I want to do, obviously, is follow the original ideas of blockchain, which I think tweeted a few weeks ago. Um, First directive or first principles of blockchain, which is self-custody, transparency, and resistance to counterparty risk. So that's really inspires me. And originally, blockchain came out as open source. So that's how it got so many people working on Bitcoin and trying to make Bitcoin better. It's just nobody knew that Bitcoin would be worth anything. And that's actually part of the genesis, right? You build something and you have no idea it will be worth like anything at all. And if you do a good job and you do a good job marketing, you can actually get quite a bit of quite a bit of people using it and give it value. But I think ultimately you have to give it away. I mean, right now we're like in this perverted state
The
where
speculative thing is so annoying. It's annoying because the people that have genuine intellectual integrity and would like to work harder and like learn more don't get favored. You know what I mean? Like the guys that get favored are the guys that'll put $1 million up for marketing before the thing launches. You know what I mean? And it's like it's kind of why I like Richard too. He kind of is trying to do both. Like he's probably the most detailed dude, and he's like telling everyone, "I'm willing to spend a boatload of fucking money to do this." Like we all know he would. You know what I mean? So the marketing thing in crypto is just fucking with my head because it's like I'm talking about like derivatives of T shares and like financial instruments, and then I'm talking about like shit clown coin and like shit. But it's kind of in the same conversation.
Well, I think Richard was right where he said that Bitcoin is at the top of its S curve, and it's very difficult for people to make money on Bitcoin. So that's why all of the shit coins and meme coins just come out, and they're trying to launch and grab on to people who are disillusioned from inability to make money on Bitcoin just because it's so high. Like even now at $20,000, it's way too high for general purpose use. I mean, I haven't really lived up to anything but the store of value, and store of value is questionable because anything that's so volatile can hardly fit the store value bill.
Dude, all the use cases in the there is no use case for Bitcoin. Like other than the fact that it can exist just like everything else can exist. Why can't it exist? People want to buy it, they can fucking buy it. Like, you
Well,
know what I mean?
it was the original mover, right? It put the crypto on the map in people's minds that something is possible to be worth a lot of money,
But
right?
didn't it
So,
already exist, Jack? Didn't it
well, like,
already exist like to a degree? Not on the blockchain, but like everyone was already inflating invisible money. They just were doing it in a way that they had the little game, to themselves. And this was just like almost just opened up the market to just financial arbitrage for everyone.
well, I think one of the big differences in blockchain specifically, it's available to anybody on the planet, anybody with internet. So marketing is superb, right? You can literally have value in Africa, right? I mean, imagine investing $1 when, well, Bitcoin was $1, right? That's a lot of money for third world countries. So nothing else like that. I mean, besides some like games like Axie Infinity, there where people are hiring a bunch of Filipinos to play, to form
Right.
guilds and make
I didn't
money.
even know that, but that makes sense. That's a smart move.
Yeah. I mean, like they literally like somebody from Philippines. They called me and they said, "Hey, give us $5,000. We're gonna buy a bunch of animals and we're gonna have them fight, and we'll give you 50% of the profit." So it's much better.
That's crazy. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's much better to play a game in Philippines than work at McDonald's. You'll be making more money and playing a video game. I mean, why not?
Oh, that's a great point. I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole about the whole work thing because I tell people all the time. People come to me with all their ideas about what they're going to do for work and how long they're going to go to school, and I'm like, you should just stop doing all that shit. Every time I'm like, in my brain, right? Like, but if they have a passion for something, of course, like if you have a passion for something, you're going to have to do that. But if you're clueless about what you're doing and you're about to drop 150 G's on school, I suggest you do not do that. But if
Yeah.
you know exactly what you want to do and your parents been like doctors and you want to be a doctor, and that makes sense to me, like that kind of stuff makes sense. But just going in like, I hope this is where I find my way. It's like, no, you could find your way on the internet just doing what you want to do, or you could find a way to make more money just doing some dumb ass shit that's like half illegal, but not totally illegal.
Yeah, totally agreed. Yeah, so I think, I mean, ultimately, blockchain, I mean, like it begs the question, what is money, right? And
Yeah.
Vitalik Buterin, he actually answered that question. He said, money is kind of like a game, right? So it's a way to accumulate points that can upgrade your avatar, if you will. I mean,
That's
you,
freaking
I
me
mean,
out.
you're doing more with your avatar than some of us. Like you're going to the gym, you're getting buff, right?
Yeah,
So
no, I
you're
do it.
literally
Yeah.
upgrading yourself.
Yeah,
Um,
no, it's crazy. It's crazy because people do the same thing in video games and they ignore their life and actually just do it in the video game.
well, yeah, I mean
I
that's
know I know many very good men that have good businesses that prioritize what stuff they have going on in the video game that they're playing. I don't know the exact verbiage, but like whatever guns or whatever they're buying, because they pay microtransactions for this amount. So they're paying hundreds of dollars a month, which to them, maybe not so much, but still, they're ignoring their families. They're ignoring free time. They're ignoring everything. And they're obsessed with this game. And just like what you said, you just compared the two things. Like they're exactly the same thing, just powering up, leveling up. How do you level up in the game? You buy more gold coins. How do you
Yeah.
level up in real life?
Well,
You
well,
get more money.
yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. I think all crypto is ultimately gamified because making gains on crypto gives you the same dopamine response as if you were to get a payday from work, right? So the motivation is very, very similar, and so is video games, right? In video games, when you level up, your brain literally does not know like what just happened. Like it's equivalent to making $1,000 while you're in the game. When you step away from the game and change your perspective, then you're thinking, okay, well, I just wasted my time because not much I can do with it. So
Yeah, the video game thing really, like I think about building all the time, but when I think about building, I just think about like, where is the uncapped volume? Like that's usually what I think about. Like which couple things that I like have the most uncapped volume in crypto. One is fitness. I did a crypto fitness challenge and 450 people signed up, and they've lost like over 450 pounds, and it was free.
wow, that's great.
And there's going to be 3 streams next week where we show the best progress report. The people are going to come on the stream. So guys, if you want to check that out, that'll be next week when Bullish comes back from vacation. He's in Colombia. But so the fitness thing has a premium in crypto. There's a premium there. And I don't care to say it because it's an open market. Everyone knows this shit if you really thought about it. But like there's a premium there. There's people that DM me every day. They said, "You changed my life." I didn't do anything.
Yeah, you just
No, I know, but all I did was set up a Telegram, get Bullish to help me, get a group going that was free, but there was a lot of energy that moved into it. You know what I mean? So I felt like, oh shit, there's something here. Like there's something here, and that's when I started doing the gym. Right, $99 super chat from Bitfinesse. You can do it longer if you're only 25% illegal, and if you're a gangster risk manager, you can use the risks slide bar in real life and put on risk for extra cash when it's safe. Yeah. I told like basically he's just like saying like life is just the same as a video game. They literally just recreate it. Thank you so much for the $100 super chat. That's very nice, man. I appreciate that.
awesome.
I sorry for derailing the entire conversation.
That's fine. Well, I think coming back to what you just said, I mean, you're sharing your life story and you're like in your life's path, and some people don't have that perspective in their life. So I think they're glad to learn from it.
Well, yeah, I went through a lot of flipping baloney. I'll tell you that, and it wasn't the same kind of bullcrap. I put myself in isolation for 6 years because I knew if I didn't, I would be in trouble. So I just stopped drinking. I stopped smoking weed. I stopped doing everything, and I'd stop hanging out with my friends. I got a job at Jimmy John's. I didn't have a car, and I just got to learning about life. Like I was like, what is really going on here? I don't want to waste my time. But I realized something that I realized really early on is that overhead was crushing other people, and I luckily got in a bunch of trouble and just like avoided school and like all those bills, and I had no overhead. I felt more free than everyone. I was like, why do I have the shit job, but I don't worry about money? But you guys are paying $3,700 a month just to stay even, and you're making 47. It made no sense to me. So then I just started thinking about alternative ways to keep my overhead low, but also make extra money. And then I just came to this point now where it's like I have ultimate freedom. I was like, I don't have to do anything. It's like if I wanted to stay at this level. Now, if I wanted to, I'm going to want to level up at some point. I'm going to have to make different moves. But again, I'm just sharing my story with the people because I have the personality to do it, and I don't mind talking. Talking to me is very low energy. Like it doesn't take me a lot to just sit here and talk. Plus, I really like to express what I've like found in my life, I guess. But I want to switch it up because I'll just keep talking about fucking whatever. I'm gonna pull something up real quick and read it.
Okay,
And
let's
I
do
want to
it.
talk to you a little bit about the securities laws and the stuff like that. Because every time I get into a really intellectual conversation in crypto, it ends there. They're like legislation can do whatever. And then I'm like, well, well then who knows the rules around here? Like what are the rules? At what point can they actually step in? And I'm just going to read this because it's the relevant news of the Twitter sphere. Hold on, let me zoom in on this a little bit.
Oh yeah, I read through it. Yep.
Okay, let me do this once.
Is that the Coinbase stuff
Yeah.
where they selected like a bunch of securities and called it securities, or?
Yeah, so like the 9, they basically, well, let me just read it real quick, and I read real quick. So, important note regarding secondary market sales of XRP. That's how this starts out. A lot of people were understandably confused by the SEC's footnote in its last response, wherein its applied secondary market sales weren't at issue in the case. Bull poop. Some believed exchange would relist XRP. Not true. I addressed this issue in the reply letter I filed today. During the very substantive hearing, Judge Netburn questioned the SEC's implausible theory that every individual in the world who is selling XRP is committed a Section 5 violation. Every person in the world. Wow. Ripple in the world. Ripple lawyers summarized the SEC's response to Judge Netburn's comment perfectly. The SEC did not dispute the premise of Judge Netburn's question, responding ambiguously that non-parties XRP transactions would likely be exempt under Section 4, which only applies to a security subject to registration under Section 5. The SEC essentially confirmed that regardless of the sellers or circumstances of the sale, XRP is in its view per se an investment contract and therefore a security per se. That premise, if accepted, would empower the SEC to regulate vast numbers of non-parties, including digital asset exchanges, vendors, and retail holders. Thus, if the SEC's theory were accepted by the court, the SEC could regulate exchanges and retail holders. What did we just witness? The SEC filed a suit against a former Coinbase product manager for insider trading of selling securities. They list 9 tokens as securities being sold on Coinbase without suing Coinbase. We are at war. The war started on December 22nd, 2020, when SEC called XRP itself a security. So my question about this is what are they even talking about when they say per se? Like I'm reading this thing and they're telling me about securities per se. Does it become a security when you get attacked by the law and they just tell you it's a security? Or because some things have, I just want to know what your take on the whole security thing is. Because to me, it seems like nobody knows and they're all just pretending they know.
Okay, well, crypto in itself, obviously, its primary element is value, right? It's an ability to make something out of thin air and sell it to someone for dollars. Now, that someone who is buying it from you, the classification is that are they an investor or what are they doing, right? And if they're an investor, then investors in this country and many other countries, they have certain laws that's supposed to protect them. So specifically, if you're sitting in your mom's garage and you build a bunch of shitcoins and you just happen to have a pretty good following on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, anywhere, and you're saying, hey, this will do that, therefore you should buy my shitcoins or my meme coins, it will go to the moon. Well, basically, you just attracted a bunch of people who gave you money for something that's a security because of the way that you described it to the world. So anything that's marketed heavily, I feel before it launches, actually is kind of like a security, especially if it carries a promise of you pumping it up. Now, the reason for you to do it
Do
is
you
that
just mean it's more applicable to sue them? Like it would be easier to probably sue them? Like when you say it's more or less of a security, are you just saying like legal wise they could come at you from more angles?
absolutely. I mean, well, there is a security law. So if you're selling a thin air and you're making money from it, and then you're running away with the, with the money, then you violated the securities law. I mean, actually, you didn't really violate it. You have committed the violation just by offering something that you promised that will rise in value. So that is the thing.
And then
Now,
where do you like Hex? So where does that kind of like tie in? Because Richard is very clear. I mean, he he can tell someone the book on this stuff, and he thought about it before he launched. Where he says that his is different because of the immutability, because of the fact that, expecting no work of others. Where does that come in, and where is that legit, or is that just bullshit?
Well, that's a good question too. So Hex basically mimics the Bitcoin origin story, except with the I think I mentioned it on somebody else's stream before, is that Bitcoin had this what we call an immaculate conception, where Satoshi created it. It was a loosely based, slapped together code that other people improved, and then Satoshi just disappears, right? So nothing can be better in terms of whether it's a commodity or a security. There's like simply no one out there that you can find that can unload the bag on you, right? And so when it comes to promise and the inception of Bitcoin, there was no promise. It was worth exactly zero. And nobody said that, hey, we're going to do A, B, C, and D all the way to Z, and it's going to be $20,000 today. That promise did not exist. So as long as there is no expectation from the work of others, which is the Howey's test, then this is not a security, because you're not buying a share of an organization that's producing some sort of profit for you. So that would not be a security. Now, if somebody launches a coin and says, hey, I have a great team of engineers, they're building this and they're building that, and you can buy it for 10 cents today, but well, you do the math, like it's going to be $5 next year because we're so great. Now, you just bought the future of their effort, and you're expecting a profit from the ecosystem that they're designing. So that's very different than Hex and very different than Bitcoin. So with Hex, there isn't any work that anybody's doing when they're minting their own tokens. So they're interacting with the blockchain, they're staking Hex. And
Would
they're
that be
minting.
considered us just clicking? Is clicking the buttons work?
It's work, but it's your personal work.
Yeah,
Like you're not expecting somebody else to click the button for you.
No, nobody can click the buttons for you
Exactly.
if
I
you have
mean,
it set up right.
yeah. I mean, if you have your own keys to your own coins, and you're staking your own coins and you're minting your own coins later, then you're doing all the work yourself. You're just interacting with an open source software out there that has been put up by someone without, charging anybody to do it, right? It's simply there. It's open source. It's immutable. There's no promises.
And Dad, that's why we love Hex. Okay, see the smart guy right here. He's a smart fella. He's working for Google, and he likes Hex too. So I'm not crazy. Okay.
He used to work for Google. That was
Well, yeah, back in the
that
day,
was 17
back
years
when
ago.
it was cool. Now it's not even cool.
Back in the day when you were 10, I quit.
Yeah, Dad. Well, my dad was working at, I think, somewhere in a Verizon company somewhere. So you guys were both working on some sort of stuff, guys. Because I think my dad snuck into the chat at some point way early up. So, Dad, I'm not crazy. Hex is lit. Okay. But so when it comes to the securities law, I hear people talk about it, and to me, I just hear it's just nonsense. Like, at what point? That's what everything is, lies. Everything I read is lies. Everything I look at is lies. Every advertisement that's given to me is lies. It's all lies. They all
Well,
lie
so
about everything. And then when someone lies about something, but at least it's all on chain, like that seems like an upgrade to me. Like,
well,
I don't get it.
you can't really lie on chain because you know what the contract does, right?
Well, yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah. So once you have it on chain and it's immutable and it's secured by Ethereum, there's no lying. Like nobody can change the rules under you. So that happens to be the
Why
truth.
does it feel like they can change the rules under you?
Who is specifically?
Like when they talk about the United States, for example, because that's where I'm located, I guess. So that's really all I think about. Can they just how much could they do? Worst case scenario from all that you've learned over the years. What is the worst case scenario? Like the government could just make some sort of, I would call it a mistake, but maybe some sort of legislation. Like what are they capable of actually doing if they wanted to disrupt this to the nth degree?
Well, we can look at other countries to see what they've done. So a number of countries basically said any sort of exchange of crypto for goods and services is illegal, and their banks cannot work with crypto at all. But they didn't make crypto illegal. So you
They
holding
just make the bank interaction.
yeah, so anything that gives value to crypto, they're basically stopping. So there's nothing that can be done in terms of exchange for anything that's of value.
And as you know, and I know, like if you had to get around, you have kids, so I don't know how all that works. But if you had to get around by yourself and you couldn't actually take any money out into your bank, do you think you could just get along
Well,
if you had
that's
to? I guess.
yeah, I mean that's a good question too. I mean, just I would say the money in the bank is really not your money; it's just a bunch of ones and zeros anyway.
Yeah,
So we have to trust the society
accounting.
to interact with you, and that's the thing. So like in game theory pretty much applies to everything. So society ceases to function when there's too many winners and even more losers, right? And if somebody comes up with a law that disrupts the equilibrium of the, I would say, motivational levels of people to wanting to go to work and actually make the money that's worth anything, then that becomes a problem. So I'm hoping there are smart people in the government who are actually researching this and understanding what the game theory is. And but at the same time, I would say this whole conversation started what is a security and what is not. So my 2 cents on that, or 2 satoshis, or whatever we call it, is there a Hex's smallest unit at all, like Satoshi for Bitcoin?
Yeah, no. Well, no. That's just the share rate. You could do B shares, but no. Just I don't know of any. Oh no, I think it's called a heart. I think it's called a heart, and
I thought
I
Heart
don't know
is
the rate.
exactly even equal to Hex. So you exchange Hex for hearts, and then you trade hearts for
I never
T-shirts.
used the heart verbiage before, but I just remember seeing it on the website now that I look at it because there's a little dial under go.hex.com that like has the heart unit.
Yeah.
But
So
anyway,
my point that I was trying to make is that imagine that 99.999% of all crypto projects are actually rag pulls,
yeah,
right?
they are.
And that actually destabilizes the crypto industry, and it removes the trust of what blockchain is supposed to be. Like we always say trustless, right? Because you don't need to trust anyone. But in reality, what happens is people like Celsius come into being and they're saying, hey, we're working with the trustless system, but you can trust us, right? And as soon as you trust them, they keel over and file for bankruptcy and run away with your money. I mean, technically, they didn't run away with your money. It just so happened where your marketed trustless blockchain through trustful channel, and people in the middle are making the most money on you. So that's the problem.
Well,
And
then there's contract. So, what do you think when it comes to contract interaction? Like 90% of the people that had money on Celsius probably did not actually know that they had the ability to turn it off. Now, we all did. To be honest, I totally knew that. Like, I knew that Richard kind of educated us very early about the incentive structure of these companies and how they have to fail if we go and do a 95% dump. They're going to fail. They have to. That's why but anyway, so like the incentive structure of these companies, they just make it blind for you to know what the details are. Like there's no one, I mean, yes, maybe me, maybe Sam, because we look at white papers a lot, but nobody knew I'm guaranteeing 90% had no idea when it went to hodl mode and you could no longer take your funds off Celsius that even existed.
yeah, well, the biggest thing about Celsius is that in their user agreement, they just said that as soon as you give us your money, it's no longer your money, and this money can disappear. So that was actually in their text. And by the way, Coinbase said something similar. They said that should they file for bankruptcy, they're going to take all your money too.
Oh, yes. Take all your money off Coinbase. Everyone. Nobody in this chat should have money on any centralized exchange at this point because we talk shit about it every day.
Yeah, I mean, there's some benefit to centralized exchanges just to on ramp maybe into market, but
If
that's
they
actually
work, there's some benefits.
Well, here's where the regulation can actually come helpful. So stopping companies from uh, coming online without completing certain due diligence through the government inspection. So that has nothing to do with people's losing their freedom, but it will stop people like Mashinsky from launching a leverage product and calling it a yield generating opportunity. So
Yeah. Yeah, he lied. He just lied. Like he was pretty bad, man. Like if he doesn't go to prison, I don't they got to put someone in prison for that. Now, I feel bad for his kids because you never want to see your daddy go to prison. But I just think like how can you get away? Why does it seem like the people that steal the most get in trouble the least? Like it's like these guys I have 10 or 20 friends that lost 5 to $20,000 on Celsius. And I don't even know that many people that use crypto. Everyone that had Bitcoin was on that damn thing. It's like they all got rugged to zero.
yeah,
Like their
I
money's
mean,
gone.
well, that's the beauty of unregulated industry is that anybody can come up with any sort of a lie and confuse people to give you their money. So, I mean, think about it. What if Bitcoin was trading at $1,000? Would Mashinsky even consider running a business? Probably not, right?
Yeah, he probably wouldn't have he saw that big run up. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the problem. So I would say speculation uh, increases the chance that there will be those type of, monetary vampires that trying to suck in all of the liquidity into their own pocket.
What what would you build? Again, we went to this, but I don't even think we ever got into it all the way. If you could just build whatever you wanted and it just you magically had the team and just all your resources there and you just had the time to do it. What angle do you think you would go at this moment in time?
Well, I think there should be a set of rules and basically the um, first principles that I would base it on. Number one, I don't want to make any money of it, like literally. If I were to build anything, it will be open source and just given out. So I do not want to make money on it, uh, and I would want it to be available for everyone out there who can use it one way or the other. Now I don't know what that thing might be yet, but the first principle that I would employ is number one, it's on chain specifically. Number two, if I have a team or it's myself, I don't make money on it. And there's not need to be any sort of investment. No investors are involved. It's simply out there for people to use. And it follows blockchain's original promise, self-custody, counterparty resistance, so on, and transparency, so on and so forth.
Now, hey guys, if you're in here and you're enjoying yourself, smash the like and retweet that tweet right there. We're talking right now about building on Pulse Chain and some of the, you know, some of the classic things that we've seen. I'm going to ask you about some specific projects that I don't know if you've looked into them yet, but they're derivative products and they have a lot of the things that you said available. So I'm going to talk about Hedron first. Now, have you heard of Hedron, or have you not looked into it at all, or do you know intimately?
I haven't really looked at it, but a bunch of people told me about it. So it's kind of like a derivative, I think.
Yeah. So it's actually a B share derivative. So like you get a certain amount of yield based on the B shares that you own per day, and that's how it was launched. So that's how so basically if I had 1,000 B shares, I would get a certain rate on that per B share. Now there was a bonus multiplier in the beginning, so I don't want to say the same rate, but now it's 1,000 per T share, so it's 1 per B share. It was 10 in the beginning, now it's 1. But anyway, so that's how that coin was launched. So it was given all the Hedron I have, other than I actually did buy some a little bit at the bottom ish, but was given to me for free. And it's a product that's actually held up. Like, I mean, yeah, it dumped like everything else, but I mean, it was given away for free. You know what I mean? There's still buy action on it a lot. Trust me. I look at it. I'm not saying it's incredible buy volume, but so you see something like this come out and it's also immutable. It also has no admin keys. It's also built on top of Hex. Like I get worried. Like, I just don't know how big this can get. Like, how big can this get if it's immutable and actually done correctly? Do you know about, have you like messed with these hex derivatives at all? Like, I know there's Maxi as well. I don't know if you've played with that at all.
I actually haven't looked at it, but it's very interesting to see. I assume it's
Is
on
that
chain.
that's normal in the financial markets, right? Of some sort, like the
Yeah,
derivative
I mean,
products.
absolutely. There's derivatives on top of derivatives, but like everything else that has a name derivative basically means very speculative, likely will move faster than the underlying asset, whatever the asset might be. So it's like a call option, put option. So it begets speculation, um, not necessarily store value.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, that's the way you described it is exactly how I feel about it. I feel like it's an asset that less people know about, connected to an asset I really like, and if they both go up, I think it'll go up more because there's tighter liquidity and less people know about it.
Yeah, like Shiba Inu versus Doge, right? So
Right.
Shiba Inu is like is a conceptually similar thing to Doge, but it's on Ethereum. It has NFTs and it has its own DeFi ecosystem, and it has a burning structure. So it has more DeFi elements, but underneath it all, they're just trying to take Doge people and to dump it into Shiba.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of regurgitation of communities, right? Like they want the same people that have made mistakes before to keep making mistakes back and forth. They just want to keep their dopamine like receptors moving. But so I want the last thing I wanted to talk about before we wrap up is Ethereum 2.0. I remember we were talking about Ethereum 2.0 on the last episode that we did, and it sounded like you knew a good amount of the details as far as like the average person. What I keep trying to tell people that Ethereum 2.0 is not exactly what they think it is. You know what I mean? Like the way that it's advertised and what it actually is seems like it's not the same. It doesn't seem like it's going to fix the gas prices. It doesn't seem like innovative technology. It seems like something they've already done and they're just merging the whole thing up and marketing it heavily. And I just
Well,
wanted to know what your thoughts on Ethereum 2.0, if it ever launches, were, and like some of the nuance there, I guess.
okay, well, number one thing about Ethereum 2.0, it's a proof of stake, not proof of work. So immediately you're not having a proof of waste, how the way Richard would say it. So that's definitely a positive. Like even if the gas prices stay the same, you're not wasting electricity and you're not buying miners to secure the network. It's definitely great for Ethereum ecosystem, being the second most valuable crypto on the planet. So I totally support the proof of stake move. Now the next thing that comes afterwards is the inflation. So Ethereum's inflation is way above some solid percentage number. I forget what it is. Maybe it's about 5%. And as soon as they switch to Ethereum 2, the inflation drops to 0.22%. So that technically should make Ethereum more valuable if the what they call the merge is successful. And thirdly, once those two things are successful, which may take another year, they plan to do ZK rollups, which is actually an amazing way to use the blockchain to secure heavy computational transactions without paying a lot of gas for it. And that's what we're going to expect the gas
How
to
does
go.
that occur?
So the way that it occurs, they're basically saying you have a computer or you have a proof of stake server that can do a lot more than the Ethereum virtual machine can do. You can
So they're
do
like
the
switching machines on. I mean, they're switching it up.
yes, they are, but this is even more than that. So what they're doing is they're taking a bunch of transactions, they're batching them together, and they're running a heavy computation outside of the virtual machine, but they're using virtual machine to sign it so that people know that it's actually did the right thing. So
Huh.
that makes it much faster. So as fast as maybe as Polygon,
Holy shit.
or maybe approaching the speeds of Solana. Probably not gonna approach the speed of Solana, but have you heard of this thing called crypto trilemma or blockchain trilemma?
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I couldn't tell you what it is.
So when somebody mentions it, just just think of Solana being down as a blockchain.
Yeah.
So the three legs of trilemma is basically this: you can achieve speed, stability, and being distributed. And those things cannot be too unequal. So like Ethereum is slow, but it's relatively stable and is distributed. Whereas Solana is super fast, but it crashes all the time. So it's missing this one leg of blockchain trilemma. And so Ethereum tries to solve them being slow and expensive for gas by creating ZK rollups, which will allow people to run smart contracts almost off chain, but at the same time secured by the on chain transaction. So it's almost like a combination of layer 2 and layer 1 under one blockchain, which supposed to make it super fast, less expensive gas wise, reduce the inflation. So overall, I think it should be great.
Do you think Ethereum, like, what's the only problem that I have with Ethereum is that it just seems, does this fix the gas problem? Like, does this fix the gas problem long term? Does it settle it down a little bit? Because I really think it just, because if Ethereum keeps scaling, and this is just what people tell me and like from what I heard, but it could just be all bullshit. If Ethereum just keeps scaling at some point, like we're not super scaled yet, right? Like, is it fair to say that we're not super scaled up yet? And I've paid gas fees that were $500 myself, and I'm not rich, but like at the time, the value prop was worth it.
Yeah, but if you remember, the gas price comes up when there's too many transactions piled up in a system that cannot run that many transactions per
So
second.
the ZK rollups that's what you're talking about when you bring up the ZK rollups.
Well, the compute power will be offloaded. That's one. So that's going to make the system faster. Also, they're doing this thing called sharding, where they're saying we don't need to have the whole blockchain confirm your transaction. We can have shards that can separately confirm your transactions and then have a consensus. So breaking blockchain into sharded pieces that can work together in parallel. Now that makes it faster too. And anything that makes anything faster is ultimately cheaper for gas. So $500 per transaction should be the thing of the past as soon as we have ZK rollups and sharding.
Well, that's what I'm looking for then. I guess I got some research to do on that, because
Yeah,
I got
absolutely. Just
I
go
got
to
to figure
YouTube.
out that side of shit, like that's where the layman or like the advanced layman gets hung up, because it's just, once you get into that verbiage, you have to have been around the block a little bit. What kind of dog is that? My God, that's a big boy.
It's the dog I tweeted.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. I always forget that you have an actual life. I always forget that everyone has a life and their own stuff going on, because now I'm all like self-consumed in a streaming world. But Jack, thank you for coming on. I had a lot of questions. You answered a lot of my questions, to be honest, with extreme detail, which is just amazing. Like at the end of the day, all I want to do is learn. I'm not the most money motivated person. I just like to be able to do whatever I want. I just want to be able to learn so I can be more effective in the future. And you help me a lot. And I hope that you enjoy coming on the show. Everyone loves when you're on here, and the chat goes crazy.
Well, I definitely love it as well. I like your stream a lot because you're so
Thanks.
down to earth, and you wear a wife beaters shirt,
This
t-shirt.
is Lululemon, $60. Okay.
Ooh.
Oh, no kidding. No, I know.
I go to Walmart for those things and I buy them for $5.
No, I don't buy anything anymore. This is my old life when I bought this, back when I was working all day long and spending way too much money. But anyway, thank you so much. I'm going to end it with a Richard Hart song. If you build anything on Pulse Chain, everyone in this chat will probably give you all their money. So fuck it. Let's go. Let's build. No, I'm kidding. If
Yeah,
we build
so
it, if you
I
build
would say
anything, I would love to learn.
I would say to finish this off, if I were to build anything, it's going to be for the community and by the community. I just want people to win. I want everyone to win.
Jack, you're jacking me up too. You and Richard could literally flip this whole entire world on its fucking head.
Well, I
Just
think
with that attitude. It's that attitude. It's like, it has less to do with, it's you're in this position and you're willing to have that attitude. You have no reason to have to to care, right? You could just do your thing. but
Well, I
you
think
want to.
we have similar motivations, so that's why I like
Yeah.
Richard so much. I mean, besides his shameless self promotion and all that, I think I find it hilarious. I kind of like it too, but I know how off putting it can be. But I know that Richard Hart does have a heart.
He's a softie. You ever get to talk to him, if you watch him for a couple hours straight, he can't let a simp lose his money. He goes back and checks on all the things to make sure no one lost all their sacrifice money, because you could tell he's like, I'm not going to check it. I'm not going to check it. And then he like goes, he's like, I'm checking it again, make sure no one lost their money. But anyway, I love Richard, all his self-promotion stuff. Everyone's in a different position in their life. Some people have had a past where they did certain things, and some people did other things, and they want to do those different things in the future. Some people played sports their whole college life, and then they'd like to drink a little bit after they went out of college. And some people want to drink when they're in college. You know what I mean? So his whole girl thing, I think it's something that he's just going through, if I'm being quite honest. Like, I just think that's where he's at. He wants to hang out with a bunch of chicks. Like, and maybe in his past, he was working a bunch and didn't have that luxury, or he was in a long-term relationship, So it's just like everyone's in a different spot. Just let the man live. He's trying to help the people, and he made a really good contract that I enjoy using.
I think we're all going to go through something through the rest of our lives. So it's just a matter of, being accepting of yourself and trying to do the right thing ultimately.
Yeah. Don't hurt people if you can. Just stay out of other people's lane. You can really do whatever you want. Just keep your hands to yourself. If you want to be bad, just do it in your own time. I'm just joking, guys. Everyone, have a great day. Jack, thank you so much. I hope we can do this again soon. And your insight on the securities laws was amazing, and I'm probably going to have to watch it back, which is a good time.
I'm going to have to watch it back too, because sometimes like I say things, I'm like, what did I just say? Does it make any sense?
It made sense to me. Everything you said made a lot of sense to me. But let's get off here. Guys, have a great day. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. I'll talk to you soon.
Young folks, you dripping on them motherfucker.
Richard Hart. Richard Hart.
Bought my hex from the fucking start. .1 every day we mark. Bought my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Bought my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Checking my MetaMask moving. Look at the hex, he is mooning. Looking at wives they be choosing. Peter is why they be losing. Pull chains out and they'll get me a check. He's gas up and it got me a mess. Remember the times he died collect. Hex I been eating, I'm dying in the best. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this post, I ain't letting go. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this post, I ain't letting go. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. Bought my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Bought my hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart.